Howdy-ho, everyone. Luster here, back in action with more Force of Will Attraction. That's right, we're doing the dark cards on this side of the time spinning witch set. So let's see what exactly darkness finally has in store for us. Shantui? Black Fang Tyrannosaurus. Ooh, that thing don't look nice to ya. 6 cost. Ooh, I don't like that. 1,000. Not good. Not good. Null. This card gains plus 1,000 precision and pierce. Oh wow, that's a big mamma jamma right there, actually. That actually is. Because if you're on turn 6, if you're past turn 6, and you're playing this big bad boy, you're actually throwing in a really big hammer right there to be like, you know what, no more fun and games, let's do this. You're likely on your last card, especially if you're playing Dino Girl. Especially if you're playing her. You have that precision and pierce, really fierce, really fierce. Just think it should be a 5 cost instead. That is my only gripe with it. That's it. Just should be a 5 cost. It's just a little too expensive. That's it. Just a little too expensive. But I understand what they're trying to do here. They're trying to like make it a big old blast of just like, this is where the game ends. This is where Dino leads up to. It ends here. And yeah, I could definitely see that. You could also kind of trade up with dinosaurs with this guy right here, and have it to where you can put the dinosaur on the field. But for the most part, it's all right in that sense. It does have that combo potential. It does have that little thing. I don't see you running 4 copies of it, but like 2 copies in a deck as a sort of like last resort. Like, this is the big hammer. I could see that. In limited, where like you're actually like playing without much cards and whatnot, this would be your game winner. This would indeed be your game winner, because eventually he's going to turn into a big boy, and he's going to ruin stuff for you. So that's the good bit. But aside from that, I don't think you're going to see him a lot in play. I don't think a lot of duels are going to end with him reigning victorious, but he's there to end duels for sure. He's not there to do anything else but end things. Black Star, Blazer Thieves, gang leader. Huh. Wasn't aware there was a panda as a gang leader. Very odd, this panda. It's a dark panda, which I don't mind so much. It's just odd. But whenever this card deals damage to your opponent, they discard a card at random. Oh my god, that's hurty. That's a way of just going like, guess what, buddy? I'm gonna get rid of your card things. And you're like, I don't want that. So you want to block them. I want to block this panda as much as possible. It does not help, though, that this card could gain swiftness, summon the turn, have the opponent discard a card, or it could gain flying as well. It could actually gain both these things at once, and just kind of give a nice hurt, like right off the bat. Really good utility panda card if you're running black light as pandas. Like, legitimately, if you're running black light pandas, there's no reason not to use this card. If you're running this panda in just a deck that discards, also works. I feel there are better cards out there for it, mainly because it has a lot of gem play going on there. But whenever it deals damage, they discard a card at random is just such a good effect. It really is. So it being a 7/8, not so bad. It probably could have been a 6/8, and you would still see play. But it's still a great card for what it does. Really great card for what it does. Definitely a good card. Great card in gem deck, good card in any other deck. Black Tears. 2 costs. Destroy all resonators with total cost 1 or less. It's a story chant. Why is this a story chant? This pretty much makes it so anytime that green J-Ruler comes into play, they just have an answer to destroying all the tokens. And that's ridiculous. That is super duper ridiculous and just awful, honestly. Do not like this card for the fact that it's a story chant. If it was just a regular chant, or even a quick cast chant, which it could be, it would be nice, but no, this is a mean card. to have as a side deck in the Grimoire and whatnot, because it's a story chant. Very broken for that fact alone. It should not have been that way. It should not have been the story chant. Because this card is good on its own. It really is. You could side deck this card and be like, okay, so I have this card in case like there's a bunch of elf tokens or some jazz like that. But here, just mean. Just mean. No, I don't care if it's a slow chant. It being available for any of that, for the green ruler, is not cool in my book. It goes from just a good card to an OP card right quick because of that. So I'm gonna say no on this one. Just it's not even just like I think it's good or bad. It's just no. Stop what you're doing, Force of Will. Stop it. Stop. Blackwing Dinosaur. Two cost. This card gains minus 100 for each card in your hand. That's pretty cool. This actually cycles pretty well with Dino Girl. It really does, because you can either discard the card to use the effect of the J ruler that she has, her effect, or you could just go ahead and swing out with like a 2/6 or something like that turn 2, or if you're able to, even just get that 8/6 out there by turn 3. I really doubt you could discard all your cards by turn 2, but you know what? That's a possibility. It is possible. It'd be pretty interesting, honestly. Aside from that, I do like the way that it's played with this. It's a nice little reward for like swinging at the hip, where you're just like, oh, I want to play with Null cards, but I don't want to use Null necessarily. Like, what if I still want to have cards in my hand? This is a good alternative to that. That definitely is. So it's a good card for that alone. As for anything else, honestly, I don't think it works good unless you're in the Dino deck. The Dino Girl deck, mainly because sometimes you're just not able to get rid of cards, so you're kind of stuck in this position of just not being able to play it. It's not going to have no attack when it comes in, because the most you could have is about 7. You could have 8 or 9 at one point, but it'll go back to 100 during your opponent's turn, so that is definitely good. So yeah, I mean, it keeps its defense, it's able to fly, so you got a nice little blocker for IU. It's a good card, but it only becomes great when you're using Dino Girl or a means of being able to discard cards. Bezier Thief's Gang Underling. I like her. Look at her. She is cute. She's a 2 cost, and when this card enters the field, each player discards a card. Huh. You play this card, and she is your last card, your opponent gets to trade up, not you. And you have a Resonator on the field. That's pretty cool. Honestly, I like that. I like the idea of having a full-on discard, just like your opponent has to discard cards situation. I definitely like that. I see this being a situational win card in terms of just like you win the battle for your opponent, not the war, you don't win the whole game. It's not a win con, but it could make it so it saves the game for you. Like they have that one card that could actually make sure that they could destroy you, but they get rid of it, or they have a combo and they get rid of it and they just don't have anything. This could do the thing. So I like how a lot of these black cards so far, they work really well with the Dino Girl so far, but they could work for any given deck. Unless it's Story Chant, then it's just super OP for the freaking new green Resonator. J Ruler. Ridiculous. Black Sucking But Reiya's Attendant. It's a 3 cost. Not so bad so far, right? It's got a little tap thing. You can put a mystery card on mystery counter on your J Ruler. Already, if you want to make this a mystery counter person, this is your card. This is your go-to. Then you also have remove mystery counter from your J Ruler. Target J Resonator gains -200 till end of turn. A healthy cost. In order to get rid of IU, or just have it a small little effect for Grim the Vampire. So just pretty dang good for that fact, honestly. Really good fact that you could do that. It could get you mystery counters, and it could also use the mystery counters too, so that's really good. It just being a 7/7 is a nice little plus there. If it was a 6/6, it still would have worked pretty well. I could definitely see this be in a lot of mystery counter decks. I really can. There's not a lot of way to gain mystery counters unless it's your ruler, so having this guy in here too does help. What doesn't help is that there's plenty of counter now to Mystery Counter, which sucks. Suck diddly yucks. Crumbling Majin, 4 cost. Wicked Spirit, 9/9. When this card is put into your graveyard from the field, your opponent discards a card. Not a good card. Don't play it. I'm not joking. Don't play it. It's not a good card. It's too heavy of a cost, too much of an attack, and too much of everything else to make this work for you. It just is. You don't want to get rid of your 4 cost resonators. You want them to come in swinging and help you win the game. The very fact that your opponent has to discard a card is not always a bad thing for them. It really isn't. Because sometimes they're just like, yeah, I'll kill him off. He's more of a threat to me than the card that I have in my hand. I can't get rid of him otherwise. Or they may have no cards in their hand. So you're just kind of SOL at that point. And it's a 9/9. You can't do a whole lot with 9/9s when other ones are in the 4 tier are 1,000. And this chump here is just sitting there going like, I'm gonna die. That's it. He's not a good card. Period. Dark Elf Gravekeeper. Good card for Freya. When did Freya get such good cards coming here? Not only is it a Dark Elf Resonator, where you could actually get her to like get another one of her, because when this card enters the field, search your deck for a Dark Elf and put it in your graveyard, then shuffle your deck. So there's a bit of self-milling there, kind of sucks, but with Freya, you could get that Dark Elf that you just put out. Now that Dark Elf that you just put out is any given Dark Elf out there. So if you really need a Dark Elf, you draw into this, you have this your first turn, you get your Freya, your Freya Dark Elf, and just start wrecking things just up the wazoo. That is super duper cool. That makes things a lot easier for Freya to just set up and win stuff. The fact that she's attack 4 and defense 3, pretty great stuff too. She could probably have done defense 200 and still seen a lot of play, but that attack 4 is desperately needed because you want her to be a mild threat. That's what Freya wants. She wants to nickel and dime you and then hurt you big with burn. That's what Freya really likes a whole bunch, and the fact that she could get any Dark Elf means that she could combo in with other cards, not just Freya herself. When it comes to actually searching for the Dark Elf and putting it in the graveyard. Don't see how other people could use that whole entire effect, but it's certainly a good thing, I think. Dark Impact, 4 cost. Oh no. Why is it a 4 cost? Destroy target resonator. You may put a dinosaur from your hand into the field. Oh no. That's a trade up. That's a full trade up. The fact that it's a slow chant is desperately needed because you get this bad boy out here. Turn 4, he comes out to play. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine facing that big old beast on turn 4? If they get a lucky enough draw, they get that turn. They just have to destroy a target resonator. That's not hard to do. They destroy their own, they destroy the opponent. Either one, it does not matter. Putting that dinosaur up is fantastic. If it was Banished Resonator, this card would still see play because of the various dinosaurs that are super, super big into heavy damage. And just, this is a great card to combo with within dinosaurs. This is what helps make Dinosaur viable. This is indeed what helps Dinosaur become viable. The very fact that Dinosaurs could come out there and just go, hey, we're going to have a bunch of big bad boys here, and we're going to wreck your stuff by turn 4. That's some cool stuff. Good stuff. As for other things, obviously if you're not reading Dinosaur, you shouldn't run this card. Pretty obvious there. So it just has Dino potential. But you know, everyone needs some Dino DNA. I love her! She's so cute! Dark Riding Hood, Messenger of Truth. Fairy Tale. And then instead of your J ruler flipping, you remove a Mystery Counter from your J ruler. I love this invert. I love this invert. It gives a different condition that you as a person can control. Force of Will, make more cards of these. That's what I want as my mechanic for inverse, not just J ruler flips over. This is something that I can control to some degree. 6/6 cost, that's fine. 2 cost, that's also fine. Because we have an inverted side. Boom! Red Riding Hood, Recovered Hope. She's an 8/8! She can turn into an 8/8 on the turn of. And she has Barrier to Fire and Dark. That's super cool. That's super duper cool. Why she's a win card? Because she's just amazing. And we all know that win cards are better than every other card. That's why I saved it for last. Still though, oh my goodness gracious. Fairy Tale Inverse. Fairy Tale, it's a Fairy Tale card, so just Fairy Tale's coming out strong. The very fact that it has Barrier for Fire and Dark is pretty dang cool. There's a lot of Dark that just destroys Red Riding Hood, and there's a lot of fire that could burn her. So having that little extra barrier just for the sake and fact, really cool card, going to see plenty of play in mystery counter decks that want to rush. Plenty of play. Love this card. Great card. Good card for any mystery counter deck. Not just Reiya, although Reiya is going to use her throughout no end. Going to use her and abuse her like the bats. Jeez. And here we have a 3-cost hater. Destroy target light resonator. Your opponent banishes a gem. It's a story. And yet one of the few story cards that's actually bad. I'm not joking, it's actually bad. 3 costs is way too much to copy, to use at any given time, period. Once you get to the 3 costing cards, it's just not worth it nearly as much. And the fact of the matter is, aside from your opponent banishing a gem, this card doesn't do anything that other black cards do better. There are just better black cards out there. This is full on like Panda Resonator hate, which is cool. It does kind of need that. It also has one of the best little quotes out there. Once upon a time, a panda died somewhere. But this is a bad card. Even if it's on the side, you're not going to run it. You're just not going to use it. You don't have to worry about gems that much, and if there was a gem, get rid of her. It should get rid of more than just 1 gem. It should get rid of like 5 gems or something. This right here as a 3 cost just does not cut it in any degree. You're not going to see it in Grimoire decks unless they really hate pandas. I mean really hate pandas. And I just don't see anyone that hates pandas that much. I don't see pandas becoming that viable where it has that much hate. And there are plenty of other cards out there that do better job at doing what they do. Far better job. Embrace of Darkness. It is such a adorable card. This is such a lovely card to look at. I love this card. It's a cool looking card. It's a 2 cost though, and it doesn't do anything that's good. We have a better costing card in the starter decks for Reiya. This one right here is just destroy target resonator, total cost of 3 or less. You are kind of stuck with just low game kill and no high game end at all. Like there's no or to this matter. Like if I could like play additional 1 in order to destroy a 4 or higher, that would be cool. I would love to have that. But the fact of the matter is, you just only have that 1 option, so it's only good for early game play, and that's it. Everything else doesn't really matter so much, and there are far better destroy target resonators, especially quick cast ones, especially 2 costing ones. We already have that 1 cast where it destroys a 1 or less, or you could trade it up with a mystery counter and destroy a 4 or less, which is just great stuff, honestly, just great stuff. This card, not so much, although love the art. Art is amazing. Evil Elemental Uprising. It is a story, but why is it a story? Why? Why is it a story? It doesn't need to be a story. To be fair though, I could see the utility you would have to make this into a side deck for that character. It's still very abusive, but it's one of the lesser cards out there when it comes to this card just being the way that it is. Remove all cards in your opponent's graveyard from the game. Players cannot chase this card. Easily a good answer to a lot of decks that want to use their graveyard as a source material. This shuts down Gil. This shuts down Freyla a lot. Freyla not nearly as much as Gil. Gil cannot be run now. honestly. If you're gonna ask me, this card just needs to be in a side deck for your doll deck in the green deck. The new green deck with the new J Ruler, and it just shuts down Gil completely. It being a 1 cost, the fact that it can't be chased, all things that just ruin Gil completely, because Gil goes for counters and that's it. He can have counters for days, but if he has nothing in his graveyard, he can't do anything. And this just eliminates him completely. Like, if IU has trouble enough with a bunch of cards that are coming out to play, Gil lost at this entirely. He just has like a 80 to 20 matchup with this new green J Ruler here. And it's sad because if it wasn't story, Gil could have been somewhat viable, but because it could be in that doll deck, he can't be ran. He just can't be, not majorly, not in a competitive sense, because this is just an answer to it. It just is, and it's sad because it's such a utility card, and yet at the same time, it's not. Like, it's so sad, because there's so many people that want to use the graveyard, and this is just like, shut them up tight. Poor thing. Final words. Oh wow, looks like Ray is facing the demon boy here. I wonder what's happening here. Is Reiya killing him or something, or what? Because I imagine their final words to someone dying here. Regardless, that 5 cost is that's some risky business. Thankfully enough, this is a far better card than that win card that we got a while back that hit a J Resonator for 1500. This is a straight up answer to any J Resonator for any black deck, which is really good. Just destroy target J Resonator. That's awesome. I love that. I love that idea of just destroying target J Resonator. That's why it's a 5 cost. It deserves to be a 5 cost for doing what it does, and it's cool. Just a good card. Obviously, you want to side deck it. There are certain J Rulers out there that are far more scarier than others. But this is one of those cards that you don't have to have in your deck entirely. It's a side deck card, like, solely and utterly. But it's still a card that you could definitely play. And I could definitely see it coming into play a lot. Good card. Now here's another inverse card. Oh, jeez. This is our first 3-er right here. Grim of the Crimson Moon. He is ridiculous for a 3 cost. He does not deserve to be as good as he is, and he is that good. Flying and barrier to light and dark. They did not need that to be a thing. He did not need that barrier, but it gets worse. When this card enters the field, reveal any number of fairy tale resonance from your hand. Put a +100/+100 counter on this card for each card revealed in this way. Oh dear lord! It could power up with Fairy Tale. Fairy Tale Vampire, or rather, Fairy Tale into Grim of the Crimson Moon is going to be a strong thing. He already could be 1,000,000 with such little work. That's ridiculous. And then whenever this card attacks, put 2 mystery counters on your J Ruler. He is practically a win con at this point with how many mystery counters you could put on yourself and everything. And then when he judgments, you could flip him over. Or rather, when you judgment, he could flip him over. Which only gets worse from here, folks. Grim Hope from the Future. Whoo, it's 1,000,000 straight up. But if you had those +100/+100 counters, they stay on him. So he's even more of a thing. He still has his flying, still has his barrier. This is great, right? And then when this card inverts, target non-magic stone entity loses imperishable. And this card cannot be destroyed until end of turn. Then destroy that entity. This killed Fox. Not the radio star. This killed Fox. Oh god. Cards in your opponent's graveyard lose all abilities. That was not needed. That was not needed. Oh my god. This is a win con card. This is insane. This should have been a 4 cost. It really should have been a 4 cost. There's no reason to use the other Grim in comparison to this Grim. Starter deck Grim is nothing compared to this Grim. He stomps him hard and goes, there's a new Hope Boy in town. and he is mad. He is pissed off. And he should be just one of your boys is showing up every time for a black deck now. He's just that good. He is just that good. Heavenly Fruit. It's a 1 cost, so it's like kind of alright. So far, discard your hand. You may play Resonators from your graveyard this turn. If a card would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, remove it from the game instead. Kind of a weird thing, because you could play this after you, like, as your last card, and now you can play with your graveyard. That's pretty cool. I could see that utility, but if you play this and discard your hand, then all of a sudden all the cards in your hand get removed from game. So that kind of sucks. If you're really, really desperate, you would have to do that. I don't see it happening too often in terms of situation, but this is definitely a card that works with Null. And it could work with a Dino Girl as well, but this is mostly for Null. That way you get those things to activate right away and just destroy your opponent with any Null effects and whatnot. I could see it being played only Null decks, which would obviously be more so the Dino decks. But for the most part, this is a very niche card in a very tight situation. Like, if you really want to shoot from the hip or have Null as a thing, you could definitely do that. But for the most part, I don't see it being that great of a card. Kurashoras. It's a 1 cost 3/3. That's pretty cool, honestly. This is actually a pretty cool card because Null, this card gains plus 300, and precision. That's great. That's pretty freaking great because you can just draw on this card, go like, I got nothing, and just put him out in the field, and you have precision and a 6/6. He's a good little like solid like draw from the hip kind of answer to certain things. Definitely a card worth looking into for sure when it comes to Dino decks, but not a win con by any means. He's just a soft drop. That's all he is. Soft drop of left stock. You want him to take those hits, you can. But he's not going to win anything. He's not super amazing. But he's still very playable. Very playable. Lily, the Last Flower. She's a 2-cost Dark Elf. More Dark Elf support. What is this? 500. When this card enters the field, target resonator your opponent controls gains -200 for each Dark Elf in your graveyard until end of turn. That could add up fast. That could add up really fast and end up killing a resonator pretty dang quickly. The very fact of the matter is, a lot of resonators only need about 3 Dark Elves in the graveyard to kill them. And then on top of that, you can remove Dark Elves in your graveyard from the game and put a +100 counter on this card. And then the card gains Drain until end of turn. That's super duper good. You get to keep that 100 counter on it, and you could do it a number of times just to power up Lily for this last game save. She's amazing for Dark Elf. You don't even need Freyla for her to work. You could just run her with Dark Elf Graveyard Keeper, and they combo so well together. And the fact of the matter is, Dark Elves mill themselves pretty well. They really do, so oh my god. She's just a really, really great card. She could actually be a win con for a Dark Elf thing. She comes in, she gets pumped up the wazoo, just crazy like at endgame, like we're almost gonna die here. She comes in and saves for the win. That is super duper cool, and I love her. Her dress is great. The fact of the matter that she's gonna kill you with that little knifey knife. She's a 5/5, which is super solid, and she comes in the field and hurts one of your opponents. That's just freaking cool. Just a really great late game drop and a good early game combo potential. Just great card for Dark Elf. Great card for Dark Elf. Lily's Protector. She's a 3-cost, which is like, ooh, I don't know. And then when this card enters your graveyard, when this card is in your graveyard, it's removed from game, target Dark Elf gains barrier until end of turn. That's her. She is a protector. She combos with Lily. She does all that. That's actually pretty freaking sweet. The only thing that sucks with her is that she's a 3 cost. But are you really going to use her to like summon her? Or are you going to use her to mill? Because I would use her to mill. In fact, the matter is, I think I already have an idea for a Dark Elf deck. Oh boy. And Lily's in the center of the tension. You know it. I love my girl. Suffice to say, if you're going to run Lily, it'd be a good idea to run Lily's Protector in order to get that late game win or that early game combo bust. Because that's some nice stuff right there. Nice stuff. Look of Despair. This is an amazing card. It is an amazing card. This card screams to me that Force of Will is looking into better strategies for Dark, and Dark finally has some strats. And this being, of course, your opponent discards 2 cards, or they discard 3 cards, if you have no other cards in your hand. So this comes in, your opponent's all like, I got this in the bag, I have a nice combo thing going. You put this into play, suddenly you save yourself by having them discard 3 cards, and you're all good. This is great to have to shoot from the hip. It's still a good card to play in general because they discard 2 cards. It's a great card. You can use this in a Null deck, you can use this in any deck really. Any deck that has a black as its own elemental will is just gonna love this card. You're gonna be able to use it so much. And I love this card for it. I do. It's a great card. In fact, I plan to use it. Good stuff. Lurk in the Null. Whenever this card deals damage to a Resonator, destroy that Resonator. So we have some Death Touch going on here. It's a 1 cost Cthulhu, 100, not so bad. So it's just kind of there to sort of, you know, keep things going for you. And then you also have this a little ability that activates from its graveyard. Put this card from the graveyard into your hand. That's actually really freaking sweet. You could use this for a Null deck that does not want to use dinosaurs. Not the best thing in the world by far, but definitely a good card to consider when it comes to Null. And the fact of the matter is that you're going to kind of be using your graveyard and constantly shooting from the hip. So having this sort of just, I could rely on this guy, is a really good idea, for sure. Definitely a good card for Null decks. Really good card for Null decks. Null Illusion. 2 costs, Cthulhu, and then you could draw a card if you're at Null. It's a 5/5 cost, so it kind of sucks on the defense end. And the fact of the matter is that tapping to draw a card, not the best, honestly. I'd rather it be Null draw a card. Because if it was Null draw a card, I could justify everything else. But you have to tap it, and that means you won't be able to protect yourself if this is your only card on the field. So with that, it's just kind of not the best. I understand you can also tap it right before you draw and kind of do it that way, but it could definitely be better. It could definitely have been a better card, especially with how little of attack and defense it has. If it had more defense, I could probably say, yeah, let's go ahead and just have it as a tap, but it doesn't. It's likely to die very easily. Not the best card in the world, for sure. I could see it being in play, but not by much. There are better Null cards out there, far better Null cards. Refuse Collector. Why does this look like a doll? And not just a doll, like the doll from Digimon. Wasn't the Puppet Master? Was he called the Puppet Master? He looked like he's from Digimon. Just this guy. He's a 3/3 cost, which is like, okay, weird. But whenever a player discards a card, put a +100/+100 counter on this card. Weirdly enough, not good enough. If this is a 2/2, it would work so much better. But the fact of the matter is, people don't discard cards enough for this to count. Like, if it was 2/2 and it started out as attack 100, defense 100, I could see that being put into play. But there's just not enough cards out there to make your opponent discard cards from your hand. So, for the most part, it doesn't really work. I know you could kind of like fuel him with the own little Dino Girl with her little ability, but for the most part, I just don't see it working out too well. I don't see Refuse Collector being that great of a card. You can certainly combo with it, but there are better cards out there for Null. There are better cards to use, honestly. I'd rather have the Cthulhu guy in comparison to Refuse Collector, because on the off chance that you actually get him to 1,000 by the time that it matters, you could probably already have the Cthulhu guy deal with a lot of threats already. So I'm seeing this more as you could just trade up instead of like having hope. Like you can have hope for certain things, most definitely, and you could definitely power up with certain J rulers and whatnot, but just it doesn't seem worth the combo to me. It doesn't seem worth it. Too much setup, if you ask me. Revival of the Clan. It's a 1 cost. Huh. It's also a mystery chant. Put target resonator from your graveyard into your hand. That's kind of interesting, but what gets more interesting is if you remove a mystery counter, you can put 2 target resonators from your graveyard into your hand. Now that is definitely using your graveyard for sure. Really good bit, honestly. I find it to be a very, very interesting card, Revival of the Clan. You could definitely use it in a mystery deck or a deck that only has a couple of mystery cards, rather mystery counter cards. But there are better mystery counter J ruler stuff out there. That's for sure. There definitely are. You would only use this for pretty much Null decks that somehow run with mystery, or like a Dark Elf deck that has mystery counters with it. I don't see it too much being used by IU or anything like that. It just isn't very fast, and that's kind of the biggest problem with Revival of the Clan. But it still does something really nice. It does bring resonators from your graveyard to your hand, so it could work. Soul Concentration is too good. It's too good. 1 cost Dark. Put 3 mystery counters on your J ruler, or put 2 plus 100 counters on your target J resonator you control. That is so good. That is so good. Permanent the rebuff, or you put 3 mystery counters on your J ruler. Either way, bats are getting buffed up ridiculously. So with this card, we have Reiya Rush. Reiya Rush is going to be a super big thing with this. This is not even just this is a great card in niche. This is a great card in general. It just is a great card in general. You could actually use it to run mystery counters. You could use it just so you could buff up your boys. Or your girls, I suppose. Buff up your ladies, which I would like. But it being a quick cast is just phenomenal. You could just get that extra 300. You could add so many combos to it. There's so much potential for this card. I can't wait to use this card, see it in play, see what I could do with it. Definitely an amazing card for sure. Definitely. Stagehand Doll. It's a resonator that's a doll. Huh. It looks really weird. Something I would never want to run into. It's a attack 6, defense 9. Really wonky stuff. It's a 3 cost, so it's all kinds of weird. But whenever resonator is put into your opponent's graveyard from a non-removed area, you remove it from the game, and then you gain 200 life. So every time that you kill one of the resonators, you get that 200 life, which is pretty interesting for sure. I think there are far better dolls out there, especially considering how much it costs. The fact of the matter is, it's just not going to kill very many things, and it's just kind of there to stall the game a bit more, which Doll, I figure, doesn't need to stall. I don't think it does. I don't think it's that archetype that does need to stall. I do know it's one to ruin plans a lot, and this definitely hurts Gil extra. It definitely does. But I don't think it's the best thing out there that you could play, honestly. I don't think so. And here we have Thought Control. Ha! Funny joke. This is an amazing card. This card is going to see a ton of play. And I do mean a ton of play. It's a slow chant with a 1 cost, and your opponent reveals their hand. If your opponent just revealed the hand for a 1 cost, it should already be in play for certain decks, honestly. But you also get to choose a card with a total cost 3 or less. They discard that card. Imagine getting this card early in game and just going, no, you don't get it. You don't get to have cards. It's possible you could get like 2 of these cards, 2 of the discard 2 cards, and just ruin your opponent's hand indefinitely. And that is super amazing to me. This hurts Rush so much. It hurts everything so much. Just a really, really amazing card, honestly. If you're playing black, you might want to consider running Thought Control. Thought Control. I love the name of it. I love how it actually looks like it's someone's controlling someone in particular. Like, be gone, Thought. Either way, amazing card. Definitely gonna see tons of play. Portasolo! Another win con condition for your dinosaurs. It's a 14, but it has an additional little thing. You may pay 4 less to play this card if you have no cards in your hand. Oh, wow, that's actually really, really good. And the fact of the matter is, it's not really hard to do that. It really isn't. So, you could potentially get this by turn 3. If you're really lucky, turn 2. Having a 14-14 out there, you're just spending bits and pieces, going like, I'm gonna wreck stuff, means Dinosaur is gonna come in strong. It's gonna come in hard, and you're gonna be worried about it constantly, going like, where did all these dinosaurs come from? And the Dino Girl's just gonna look at you and go like, I don't know. I have no hands, see? That's why I was able to play it. Really great card. Good win con for Dinosaur. Could be used in Null decks just in general as well. So yeah, good stuff. And then of course we also have a variant of the Portasaurus, which is a 6 cost, but when it nulls, it gets Pierce and Precision. No, you're not going to play the variant over the other card. The very fact of the matter is, playing it faster is far better than playing it harder. It just is. If there was some sort of thing where it's like you could pay it for 2 dark less instead, and then you could give it Pierce or you could give it Precision, one or the other, that'd be great. You could actually use it as a variant. But the fact of the matter is, it's not great. It just ain't. It don't have everything with it. But kind of a cool variant, honestly. He kind of looks like Godzilla. There's something, you know, I guess. Well, that's all the cards we have for Black Will. Oh, geez. Now the only other will that we have left here is Wind, ain't it? Or at least for me, it's Wind. I'm not sure how I'm gonna exactly go with these things. But Wind gets me all hot and bothered all the time, so not looking forward to that mess. But I will say that Black finally is coming in strong. It's finally showing a proper presence of what it wants to be, because we all knew that Fire was Burn. We all knew that Blue had some draw power and whatnot, and also Bounce. Green has everything, because it gets to have everything. It's the favorite. And Light has J Ruler Focus Control. Now this Black having Null and card control, very cool stuff, and something that I really want to dabble in for sure. So I am very happy with the way that Black has rolled into play. The only card that I'm particularly afraid of is that new Vampire. Is just too ridiculous. He just being able to reverse and just destroy IU in any given second is ridiculous, and I'm gonna have to fear that entirely. But for the most part, I would have to say that Black is definitely the best in terms of this set. Just the fact of it introducing so many new mechanics to it, and also just kind of shaking things up quite a lot with its discarding situation and whatnot. Very, very good stuff. But, of course, it doesn't hold a candle to green, so until next time, everybody, we'll see you all later. And if you liked this video, please share it if you can. It would definitely help me out. But, yeah, sayonara. Bye-bye.
and he wish I